Hey guys, Panic here with some more Fortnite. In this video, I just want to make a quick commentary to talk about some of the latest items Epic has added into the game lately, maybe start a discussion. I want to give my thoughts on the light machine gun, the new Clinger grenade coming soon, grenades and their role in Fortnite in general, and whether or not we need a grenade slot added to the game. I have gameplay up that relates to whatever I'm talking about where I could, but otherwise it's just some highlights from my last week or so of playing. First off, the LMG is a pretty cool gun. It's got an extremely high rate of fire and does 25 damage per shot, or 26 for the epic variety. So if you get lucky, you can laser people down near instantly, but you do have to get lucky to do so. As you'll see from my clips, and I'm sure you have your own showing the same thing, the bloom on this thing is massive. For me personally, it's got a big old thumbs down for me because I just can't see a situation in which it's any good. The best luck I've had with it is spraying people as they try to rush me. It seems to do a little bit better of a job than an AR. You might be able to get a little chip damage in on them while they're spamming walls. Other than that, it just seems to be a minigun that does more damage but uses much more precious ammo. It's hard to justify picking one up over the much more precise ARs. Maybe if you just can't find anything better than a gray AR, I'd pick it up. The one time this weapon truly shines is if you happen to find one in your first house of the game, because this baby comes preloaded with 100 rounds, which is pretty powerful for the early game right off the bus. If you can't seem to fill out your 5th inventory slot, then it wouldn't be a bad idea at all to carry an LMG for a backup 100 rounds to close out a fight if you need it. But we'll see. I'm still waiting for somebody to really figure out a niche for this weapon because right now I just don't see it. And quite honestly, I picked up the minigun just to see how it feels in comparison. I really like the minigun a lot better. It felt more accurate to me, but who knows. Let me know if you think I'm wrong. Moving on, I actually just found out as I sat down to record this commentary that Epic is adding a new grenade to the game tomorrow, or the 24th, depending on when I get this video out, called the Clinger grenade. The description reads, stick this device to any surface or player. So that should be pretty interesting. I'm not sure whether you can trigger the explosion like remote explosives, or if it's timed sort of like the Semtex grenade from Call of Duty. We'll see, I guess. I can't think of many uses for this thing, to be quite honest, but if it's player detonated, then maybe you can attach it to your teammate to run into your enemy's base and blow everybody up or something crazy like that. Frankly, I'm having trouble seeing how it feels a role different than the remote explosives, so we'll see, I suppose. The next thing I was going to talk about was initially going to be the Portafort alone because I never got a chance to voice my thoughts on it, but I decided I'd just talk about the state of grenades in Fortnite instead, since much of what I wanted to say about the Portafort applies to every grenade type item they've added recently. In short, they're cool, but in the end, you're never going to give up an inventory slot for them. There's always going to be something more important, whether it be heals, explodes, or a sniper, or something like that. Nobody's ever going to be able to justify dedicating an entire slot that can be used for anything to something so situational as grenades in Fortnite. That's the big problem with grenades in general, is they're extremely situational. I can't even really define what the Portafort is for. I mean, I guess if you're low on materials or something, it'd be helpful in mounting a quick defense. Or in my case, if I'm looting an area and I know I'm likely to find something else to fill up that last inventory slot, I'll just throw it down on top of a house or something so I can go up and get a quick read on the area. It seems kind of wasteful, but you don't even know how many times I've had this thing in my inventory and finish a fight with it unused because I just never saw a reason or situation and where it would be useful. Nearly every time I've picked this item up, I wind up dropping it for something else later and never even use it. Now don't get me wrong, this item is extremely cool, it looks awesome, and the sound it makes when you throw it is amazing and scary if it catches you off guard. But my argument is that it's just not that useful and there are too many items in the game that are much more versatile. The other thing it has going against it that newer players might not realize is the design of the fort that the Portafort produces is not a good one. It does not pay to have a big spread out fort, even as small as this one, because it makes it difficult to hear exactly where you're being rushed from if someone is building ramps up to it. Or you might not hear it at all until they're already hanging out in your fort with you. Also, all around those walkways that extend out, you're only being held up by one building piece, so you could very easily fall out of it if you're standing on it when an enemy shoots that piece out. And in addition to that, when you first throw the fort down, it's very fragile because it's as if you'd placed those metal panels yourself in build mode. They start off weak and are very slow to build. So watch what happens when I send a rocket into one that had just been made in this clip here. The whole thing just blows right up. And finally, because it has those overhangs that extend well beyond the base of the fort, people can get right up against the bottom of your fort and you'll have a hard time shooting them because of it. They can just kind of hump the base of your fort and there's nothing you can really do about it except maybe edit some of the stairs and open them up for a clearer shot. There is no other fort design in the game that can trump the tried and true 1x1 fort. If you hear an enemy approaching with ramps, you can hear exactly which direction they're coming from and respond appropriately. They can't hide at the base of your fort because you can just shoot down on them with ease, and they have to take down a minimum of 5 building pieces before you fall down from your fort. It's not sexy, but it's superior in every way, and I challenge you to come up with a design that is functionally better than the 1x1. The biggest use I can see out of the porta fort is maybe you get to a circle early and you have time to throw it down to make sure it has enough time to fully build. Then before I'd even bother using it, I'd reinforce it by throwing some walls all around the sides and maybe some floors under it as well to make it harder to shoot down. But honestly, it's probably best if you just go farm some more resources and save that last inventory slot for something much more useful. But that brings me to the rest of the grenades in Fortnite. Actual grenades can act as a poor man's grenade launcher, and they work extremely well to be quite honest, but still myself and many others choose not to carry them in favor of something else. Same goes for boogie bombs, remote explosives, impulse grenades, and porta forts. Boogie bombs actually aren't that bad. They used to last 10 seconds and wouldn't break when shot, so they were completely broken and unbalanced then, but now they only last 5 seconds and the effect ends when you get shot. So it's really not hard. It's really hard to capitalize on it now. They can just run away for 5 seconds. But it's still an all-around good item. Not a thing wrong with it. You can still use it to secure a kill. The same can be said about impulse grenades. They definitely are a pretty versatile item, and you can use them to get out of the storm quicker, you can use them to get away from an enemy, you can rush an enemy faster with them, you can even jump from the bottom of someone's 1x1 all the way to the top of it with them if they're dumb enough to let you walk up to it like that. And they're knocking people off of cliffs and all that fun stuff. But I still can't justify using them over other weapons and heals unless you're extremely good with impulse nades and you can one-pump people with them left and right, not like me. The average player like myself is just going to ignore them. There's been a few times where I have an open slot and I'll use them as a speed boost to get wherever I'm going quicker, but that's about it. As for remote explosives, I find them to be pretty useless overall. Killed a few people with it for fun when it came out and stopped picking it up altogether after that. The blast radius is too small and it doesn't do much damage for how close you have to be to use it. Not that I want to see it buffed or anything, that would be terrible. The only use it has if you want to rig a llama up to blow up or something campy like that, which I just don't have the patience to do. It's cool and all, but it's not my thing. So with all these grenades that are inherently good and have a purpose aside from the remote explosives, it's kind of lame. They don't see much play, so I think it would definitely be interesting if Epic experimented with a new inventory slot dedicated specifically to grenades. I'm against adding a 6th inventory slot straight up, as everyone will just fill it with more shields or healing or just another weapon. I think if they're going to do it, it should only be for grenades. Console players would swap to it just like how they do any other item, and PC players could bind it however they want with their fancy keyboards. I think it would breathe some new life into these grenades, and it'd really let them shine where they've been playing second pony to all these other more well-defined tools we've been using. Now, I'm not saying they should make it happen, I just think they should experiment with it because honestly it may be really annoying to have to deal with grenades in every single encounter you're in. Especially in squads, I wouldn't be too excited with the entire enemy team spamming regular nades non-stop. If I were going to make this happen, I think I would just go ahead and put regular grenades in the vault, because I feel like it'd be too annoying since they're a common item. Literally almost every opponent would have explode capability, and I don't think I like that too much. It might add too much volatility to the fights, and imagine getting pinched in solo. You're just duking it out up in the sky, and some jerk comes along with nades to the bottom of your structure. But I don't know, maybe the grenade slot is a good idea, maybe it's god-awful. What do you guys think? I do want to point out the grenade slot is not my idea. I don't know who originally suggested it, but it's been thrown around a lot on Reddit. I think it could be a great addition to the game as long as it's implemented carefully and thoughtfully. But that's all for this video. I just want to get some thoughts out there and maybe spark some discussion. I want to thank all my new subscribers to this channel. I've experienced some quick growth over this past week and I really hope this can blow up into something big, so bear with me and we'll see where this thing takes us. Hope you all have a great week. I'll see you in the next one.